All right,
Got it.
everybody, welcome to the podcast of Are They Out There? I want everybody to remember that you can email us at arethayouthere1@gmail.com. I've had some few emails come in asking us more about the paranormal, some UFO stuff because of the government now wanting to shut down UFOs out there. So remember, email me all your questions, comments, stories at arethayouthere1@gmail.com. And tonight, of course, our co-host, we got Stuart McKenzie of our Gold Rush fame, and now Are They Out There fame, which I'm hyping that up a little bit. And then our special guest, Bobby, who was on one of our very first podcasts. Welcome back, man. Good to have you tonight.
Awesome, man.
And just to make sure everybody knows, like, Bobby, what did you do? You did Street Outlaws and you did Gold Rush, right?
Yeah. I didn't really make the screen on Gold Rush.
Yeah, but you're still there, right? Yeah.
But I was there. I was totally there.
Well, the best part is I got two TV stars, and I'm just an old coastie. So, but tonight, I mean, we've been talking kind of behind the scenes about the Montauk project, and looking into that. The Philadelphia experiment came in, and I was kind of looking. Me and Stuart were just talking about the distance between the Philadelphia shipyards and Montauk, which is Hero Air Force Base in New York, is 211 miles. And when I started looking into both of these, I'm like, there's got to be some kind of connection. And right in between both of those is Groton Sub Base, the biggest sub base basically out there, with General Dynamics building the subs right there. Right. And so you got all these different shipyards, experiments, all this other stuff going on. It's kind of crazy when you start looking at this and reading into things.
So just catch me up just a second. So, like the Philadelphia project, weren't they trying to cloak a ship?
Yeah. So what happened was back in the 40s, World War II, the Philadelphia experiment was Albert Einstein had a theory of being able to basically travel in space, and the conspiracy theory is the government was working on basically being able to transport troops or ship from one space to another. And there was a guy, I think his name was like Aldridge or something like that, was supposedly on a ship in Norfolk, Virginia, when the ship that was in the Philadelphia shipyards appeared next to his ship and then disappeared and reappeared back in Philadelphia. And then later on, some of the people that were exposed to it, that were supposedly out on the deck of this destroyer in Virginia, they started disappearing and showing up in other places and then reappearing back and having these like,
weird.
I don't know, time continuum effects or whatever. So it's this whole big thing. And then there were different books and stuff written and sent to the government. And this guy, hang on 1 second, and I'll get his name here real quick, because I've got some stuff pulled up on this. Let's see here. So it all started basically with Morris Jessup's book, and it was called The Case for UFOs. And it was to the Office of Naval Research, which started this whole thing, and it kind of went into the whole deal of the Philadelphia Naval Shipyards. And it was a guy by the name of Allen, actually, that put out unpublished theories by Albert Einstein, which brought this whole thing into the theories of being able to go from one space to another, basically like teleportation. And again,
so didn't Tesla do the same thing? Like back in like the late 1800s, like 1895 or something like that. I want to say Nikola Tesla had invented something with a chair, basically, and he was saying that he could transport through from one place to another with electromagnetic fields.
I haven't looked too much into Tesla, just knowing that they kind of, I think my conspiracy on that is his whole energy, you know what I mean? He was producing all this massive amounts of energy pretty cheap, and they kind of got rid of it.
Well, the reason I brought it up is because apparently I did a little reading, and they were basically saying that that technology was stolen, when he was died or whatever happened to him. And they were saying that was the premise for the using on these projects.
Well,
Right.
that could be it. Yeah.
But I mean, I was just curious. Like I was reading that earlier, and they were saying about like basically his technology for using electromagnetic fields for travel, or what they were using the premise for it for.
Right.
No, I believe that 100%.
And I am looking that up right now.
Well, I mean, like
For us
Nicholas
just
Tesla. I
kinda
mean,
see.
that was just something like that. I mean, that was just a guy who, I mean, I'm happy he was alive, but I would hate to be him. You know what I mean? Because I cannot imagine the amount of stuff that was computing through that guy's brain. It was working 24/7. I don't know if that guy ever slept. You know what I mean? If he ever had
Well, I
like a
mean-
really good day.
Hey man, methamphetamine ain't always been illegal.
Yeah. That's very true, man. That's very, very true.
Well, you know, it's interesting that you brought up the electromagnetic transportation, because Elon Musk, the owner of Tesla, is working on transportation using that theory, basically of making like bullet trains that'll travel 700 miles per hour.
Japan already has it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
They
I'm not
use-
sure how fast their train moves.
There's just no, it's like
Done
200
that.
and something. It's not 700, but there's 200.
But it
something.
hovers.
Yeah.
You know, it basically
Yeah,
hovers.
well, yeah. Well, I mean, it's just
Right.
basically like a positive negative that like floats over a rail system, and that's how they move it, like north to south, because they just travel
Right.
the negative and the positive
Which-
together. But Tesla
Oh,
was trying to do something that was, but it was at like 700, right?
Well, but I mean, that brings us back to the Navy railgun too, the electromagnetic
Yeah,
Navy
very,
railgun,
very
right? I
true.
mean, and we talked
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that one before. So, all right,
Yeah,
well,
okay.
let's
Let's go back to
jump back
Montauk.
into
Yeah, hold on.
Montauk.
Yeah, my
yeah,
bad.
yeah. Let's go back to Montauk. Yeah. But Montauk project, like, I mean, what's even crazier is, like the whole thing was based like for that hit show. It was
Stranger
Stranger
Things?
Things. Stranger Things. That whole show is actually based off of the Montauk project. That's actually where the whole thing where it comes like and circles back to. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's pretty awesome when you actually like think about for like a sec. Yeah, I mean they were talking about like like in that show, they're talking about time travel, they're talking about different dimensions, mutant monsters, they're talking about like, I mean, a plethora of just crazy shit. You know what I mean? So but it all had to base like because this actually goes back even to the World War II, and this especially during the time like with UFOs after the atomic bomb was dropped and this and that. But the Montauk base, where that was at, was actually developed for the in case of the invasion of the Nazis on the American
Right.
homeland. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, there's some shit.
Yeah, it was.
Right. And
So
Well, let me
go ahead,
see.
Gary. I'm sorry.
no, you're fine, man. I was just gonna say, I mean, the Hero Air Force Base there in Montauk, where this all started, is out on like the furthest point of New York, basically out, in the Atlantic, right there on the
Yeah.
tip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so
so
it was-
I'm actually. Oh, go ahead, Bobby. Go ahead.
So, like you were saying, I was reading about it. Is like it's basically designed to look like a fishing town, and it was supposed to be like an early warning for any kind of nuclear devices or anything that were going to hit the United States. But I also seen, which we've also talked about, like everybody knows about Operation Paperclip. So apparently, these Nazi scientists after the war that were hired were actually brought in to work on that project, the Montauk project.
So they brought
Like,
into Montauk from.
Yeah, they
from
were brought into
wow.
Montauk.
Woo!
Because, and that they were already, touching in on that kind of shit anyway.
Well, yeah, no. So Hitler was a great believer in the occult, right? So you mean they were looking for the Holy Grail. They were doing shit in Nepal. They were doing things all over the globe, looking for like like subterranean,
the Holy Grail,
like
everything.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it was like all the Indiana Jones stuff is all based off of real stuff. You know what I mean? Like all the Indiana Jones, like when he looked for the Temple of the Ark, the first one, and then
The Ark of the
Temple
Covenant.
Doom. Yeah, Ark of the Covenant. Yeah. But the Temple of Doom, yeah, it was kind of cool. But even the third one, like when is it like with Sean Connery, that's equally as just as much. I mean, they spent. Hitler was a great believer in the occult. So the fact that they had the German scientists come back and the fact that the Americans put money into it after they brought them back, there had to have been something kind of convincing. There had to have been something with these brilliant minds You know what I mean? And
Well,
what they had seen or what they had found.
well, I mean, you look at it, and even with the Oppenheimer story that's coming out now and stuff like that, Germany was so advanced with the jet propulsion. They were
Mhm.
close to having nuclear weapons. I lived in
Yeah.
Germany for 4 years, and the Germans were way ahead of their time. And you look at some of their designs, and they even had a craft called the Bell, which
Yeah.
resembles a
I know what you're talking
UFO.
about.
And a lot
Yeah.
of people think that they had UFO technology back in the day that was helping them advance further than this. They had the first jet fighter. You know what I mean?
Or maybe, hey,
Um,
I bet you maybe like what I would say is personally is I would say like one of the expeditions that Hitler had sent them on is that they had been taken to a cave or some type of archaeological crash site. And yeah, I mean, and they had like, basically took them back. 'Cause it's very similar to after Roswell when we had like, we had lasers, we had CDs, we had, like GPS, we had all of these things that all of a sudden just advanced drastically. Now, if you look back to the Nazis and whatnot, like you said, with the rockets V2, that would be indicative if we found or if they found an alien, an alien craft, whether it be a drone or anything else, but if they were able to kind of deconstruct to the basic primitive functions of their rocket systems, I mean, that would make sense, but why they were so advanced in so many different things.
I don't know. I always thought I was just fascinated by them, just how advanced they become in such a short period of time. Like,
Yeah.
they had just ridiculous. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Well, and the Wright brothers, I think to yourself is like the Wright brothers, it was here in the United States. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, so we were the first ones to have flight, technically speaking, even though I think officially there's two guys that were like 2 weeks before the Wright brothers, but the Wright brothers just got to the papers first. But you know what I mean? Like,
right.
but yeah, but the whole thing comes down to is where in the hell did the Nazis like? We're the ones who kind of discovered flight, but all of a sudden they're flying V2 rockets and doing all sorts of shit. Because Werner von Braun, the first time that the first rocket, I think hit Great Britain, he said the rocket worked perfectly. It just landed on the wrong planet. You know what I
Right.
mean? And that was his way of being like, I built this thing not because I wanted it for war, you know what I mean, but because I wanted to go to the moon, I wanted to go to Mars, I wanted to explore space.
Right. Well, I mean, you look at Roswell and the crash and what they say they found,
Mhm.
and then didn't find. And then you look at all of a sudden all the technology that came about very quickly
Yeah.
back in the 60s. I mean, when you think about Werner von Braun, right? He developed the Atlas rocket, the Saturn rocket,
Mhm.
right? That took man to
Yeah.
the moon. And the power of a cell phone is more power than what we had in the Apollo spacecraft, right? But
Yeah.
how did
Yeah.
we go from basically 59, right? And
Mhm.
then into the 60s from hardly being able to get a rocket off the pad to putting a man on the moon. Where did this technology come from? You had the creation of Area
Something.
51 going on out there, right?
Mhm.
With all the secret skunk works, all the black ops and
Mhm.
stuff like that happening out there. I mean, this all goes back like with the Montauk project.
Yeah.
I think they made a film called something Goats. George Clooney was in it. And it was all about mind reading and
Oh no,
telepathy and stuff like
no,
that.
men who stare at goat, men who stare at
Yeah,
Minister
goat.
Minister,
goats.
right? But that's
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
kind of that's kind of what the Montauk
yeah,
project was, where they started working into that parapsychology, trying to
yeah.
trying to do the
So,
mind stuff, right?
Hmm.
uh, I was just adding to that, we were talking about the Stranger Things and like that being the premise of it. And
Yeah,
also, from what I saw and stuff, the girl in the show 11, she could move things, telepathically and whatnot. And
yeah,
there's another project called the Nina Project. And it was basically she was a Russian housewife that they, and I seen some of the film on it where she could move objects on a table,
huh.
and like there's real footage of it, and basically that was she was supposed to have part of that as well, but she was like it was filmed in like a hotel in Russia. And this is
Hmm.
all this is like all these projects are going on at the exact same time, like the Montauk, the Philadelphia, the Manhattan, like the Nina
Yeah,
Project, like they were just all into every damn thing. But apparently, um, she was part of the Montauk project as well, like because she
Huh.
could actually move things with her mind.
Huh. Huh.
If you
Oh
get a
shit.
chance, look at that. It's called the Nina Project.
Okay. Hmm.
Right. Well, I know that with the Montauk, there was also it intermixes with some of the stories of what was called the Bulgarian experiment. Um,
Hmm.
and I haven't looked too much into that one
It's a great
yet.
country, but hey, that's a great
It is
country, by the way.
it is a great country.
It's a great country. Oh my God, Bulgaria is a great country.
Right. And I'm trying to look
Yeah.
up that real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, so the Bulgarian was using psychedelic drugs.
Oh, really? So
Um,
they were just kind
yeah,
of doing the MK Ultra. I gotcha.
yeah. So from
It seems like
62 to
it seems like
68.
it seems like every country went through that like little phase where they were like, okay, maybe we can actually reach like the higher because we only use 10% of our brains, right?
Right.
Hmm.
And I think that's the
And I
whole
get
part
it.
of the whole time traveling, the traveling outside
Yeah.
your body type thing.
Well, and that's another thing too, is like whenever like soldiers have like so when soldiers go into combat and whatnot, the surprising amount of people that say that they have an out of body experience where they were actually watching themselves from an elevated position, where they're watching themselves run while like I mean, it's almost like a drone's following them. It's pretty astounding. And when you get into combat and that amount of endorphins kick in and everything's like happening all at once and you're scared for your life, you can't tell me. So we only activate 10% of our brain, but when that's happening, like I guarantee you there's some primal instincts, things are happening, fluids are being released that, I mean, it starts activating more than just that 10%. And I bet you if they put like helmets on these guys and they actually put like a little brain scanner on while things were happening, and while like, people were scared for their lives, they would understand that like the human brain can do a lot more, especially if, through I mean, look at the monks that like go and stand and set themselves on fire and don't make a sound. You know what I mean? Through
Right.
meditation and whatnot.
Um,
So yeah, a lot of it comes back to what you're saying. It's like maybe, moving through dimensions and portals and time and space, through that fifth dimension.
so Gary, I don't on that. I was just bringing this back, but on that Montauk, I read a couple things like some interviews with some guys that were supposedly some of the kids that were there that got experimented on, and apparently one of them was saying basically that he went through hypnosis and it unlocked all the suppressed memory. Like supposedly, they were like they hit him with like fucking the Men in Black thing where they lose their
Mm,
memories. But apparently the guy he's from there, and they said that once he did that, that he could remember where they took him to, and like supposedly they took him to like this area that was a sunken house, and he was able to find it.
mm,
Like and he started explaining all the things that they did, and he was saying, there was like 50 of them at a time in there, with all kinds
mm.
of shit hooked up to them and whatnot. And I don't know, it's pretty wild. I was doing a little bit of reading on it a while ago. There was something there, and then also this, a lot of the locals there said that that radio, that the waves were so powerful that it would fucking just like mess up TVs, give people headaches in the town, like all kinds of stuff.
Oh, you're talking
Right.
about that there's like a dish that was put in there, right?
Yeah, like that
That,
dish was like
yeah, yeah.
450 megahertz or something. Like it
So it
was.
was one of the biggest, yeah, it was a huge ass, but it was made for like interception, like of like radio or Soviet transmissions, right?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
said that when they would turn it on, like it would just like wreak havoc around the whole town, like get people sick, like their heads would go to
Oh
hurting.
wow. Mm,
I mean, I can believe that because I mean, I've sat in the cockpit of an F-18 and I had a guy turn everything on, and just the electronics in that small cockpit and everything it was doing, hearing, listening to, you know what I mean, within about a
mm.
5 mile radius was absolutely nuts. And that's coming from a small like parabolic dish,
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the nose of an aircraft, that fighter. So you
yeah.
multiply that thousands of times. I can only think of what's coming out of that to bring in everything and the listening and all that has to wreak havoc within miles.
No, yeah. Well, no, I always thought there's this thing called the Warlock, right? And the Warlock is what we use like over in Afghanistan, Iraq, and it was to initially because well, roadside bombs were such a thing, is that it would jam like the transmission or the cell phone towers or anything like that was around for a certain amount of distance, so that they couldn't detonate their bombs. But I know for a fact, I'm like, what is this doing to our brains? You know what I mean? Like this
Oh
has to be
yeah,
doing
Right.
something, dude. Like, yeah.
So let me ask you this: like, we're talking about them, like, touching with inner, I guess what we call it, like, travel and interdimensional and all that other stuff. Like, they're pretty much trying to go places they don't need to be going.
In a different
And-
dimension. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So have y'all looked? Which I've only looked at a little bit of it, like the CERN that they have overseas right now. Where
The
they're like,
CERN?
yeah, it's called the CERN, the CERN, and it's
Mhm.
like where they're trying to make that God particle.
Oh,
Oh,
no,
yeah,
okay, no,
it's the
you're talking about
collider.
yeah, the antimatter. Okay, yeah. I know what
Yeah,
you're
and like,
Yeah, the
Yeah.
super collider.
right,
Yeah,
and like,
yep.
there's like, I think that from just from what I've read is like it's kind of like they kind of have some similarities there, like where they're starting to rip it, like what they were saying. I was reading at the Montauk, like they had actually ripped into the fabric of like
Of space, time continuum,
interdimensional
our
travel and
reality.
stuff like that. And
Well, hey, so I have a best friend, right? Like, I mean, this guy, like, goes back. He was there when they killed Saddam's sons, right? And this dude, like, keep in mind, he is bipolar and schizophrenic, but he has an amazing story, Bobby. I would love for you to listen to this, but he has a whole like just a different way to look at religion, science, and everything kind of all wrapped into one. But where I mean, he believes that he talks with an ancient alien called Inky. And oh, dude, I'm talking. But you need to listen to it, dude. And it's so much. It's so crazy in the fact that
Yeah,
you can't dispute.
and we
Yeah,
need
go
to
ahead,
get
go
him
ahead.
on
Yeah,
the show. We need to get him on the
I
show.
know.
We said we were
I know.
going
Hey,
to, and things
I know.
happened,
Hey,
and
actually, you know
but
what? Tell you the truth, and let's make a hard date. Like, I don't have anything going on next weekend, so let's like
like
officially
y'all
make
got,
it now.
I need to be able to listen to this.
Oh no,
yeah,
no, Bobby,
well,
no, Bobby. I'm gonna say you need to listen to this guy,
he
and I'm talking
we
like,
need to give him we need to
yeah,
give him 2 weeks. If you remember, he said he needs like 2 weeks because he fasts and stuff
yeah.
like that to
Oh no,
do this. But
he has to do he has to do a
but
certain ritual and a certain thing for him to be able to
yeah,
talk to Inky. But I'm talking like where like it's where he's still there and he's still able to do the dishes and stuff like that, but he's in the back of his head, he's having conversations and whatnot. And I mean, but I'll put it this way, it's so weird is that like you're not going to be able to catch him on very many things. There's not really because I'll throw things like curveballs out. I'm like, hey, well, what about this? And I really it's such a weird
well,
thing, but he
but
believes in a totally yeah.
you
What's
said
that?
something, Stuart. You said
What's
something. You
that?
said while you're in combat, that people have heard voices or whatever. And
Yeah.
he was telling me that in one situation that they were pinned down by sniper fire, another
And
fire,
his
and there was a
grandma.
kid, that was out
Yeah.
in the crossfire, and he said a voice in his head told him he could go out there and get that kid and bring the kid back and nothing would happen to him or the kid. And he said
Yeah.
he basically walked. He didn't run, but he walked out
Yeah.
there, everybody yelling at him. He grabbed the kid and came back, saved the kid under fire. And he was
Yep.
like, he said he wasn't worried. This voice kept telling him he'll be okay, he'll be okay, he'll be, and he was. I mean,
Yeah.
he didn't even
Yeah.
get like scratched.
Oh no,
Nothing.
no, no. Yeah, no. Like I said, this is
Right.
like I've known this guy, like so like I was at the hospital with him. You know what I mean? Like so like
Right.
I've known this guy for a very like God, since I was 20, I've been 22. You know what I mean? Like he one of my best friends, you know what I mean? Like where we just like we grew up together, like I get in a sense like when we started our new life after combat, after the military. And the
Right.
dude's a stand up, straight up good guy. Like, I mean, but yeah, I cannot wait for everyone to listen to this because
Well,
they actually did you know? Okay. So he's on TikTok right now, and if anyone like I can't spell his last name because it's called Aquinoc. You know what I mean? Like, so if you're gonna be able to spell that, they call him Alphabet. You know what I mean? But his name's George Aquinoc, and they have people that are starting to start religions about his teachings and everything that he's talking about on TikTok.
Oh
People
my
are
God.
starting. People are
I took
starting to
5
make
pages
their.
of notes.
Yeah, I'm not, dude. People are like literally. People are like spreading the word of his gospel, being like, "This is the new Messiah.
The
This is the new
gospel.
this."
Oh
Oh
my.
no, because I'm not joking, man. Hey,
It,
dude. Hey, Bobby, you have to like. You know what, dude? I can't believe I haven't even fucking like. I can't even believe I have not introduced
Oh,
you
I'm
to him yet.
interested. I'm gonna when we get off here, I'm
so
gonna look him up.
well,
Yeah, yeah,
Bobby,
yeah. No. Look him up, George
I
Aquinoc.
got to
Yeah,
tell you,
and he's
when I was
hundreds of
talking
thousands
to
of
him on the
views,
phone, I'm on the computer, right? And he's saying stuff.
and
You know,
you're
and I
looking.
told Stuart, I have total respect. I wasn't going to, go into it on just a level thing. And I'm looking up everything he's talking about. And it's like, unless he studied this for years and years and years and years and years and years, I mean, he's spitting stuff out that I'm finding left and right going, wait a minute. And
Yeah.
like I
Oh
said,
no,
I
no,
did
and it all
5 pages of
coincides.
notes on this. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's up here like Bobby, but it's like right here. It's like but it's from different teachings. So it's from the Bible. It's from the Book of Enoch. It's from the these all these things, and he's finding these little tiny. And like you said, you would have to study it for years to be that fluent and that just able to answer anyone's question and dance around, or you know what I mean, or you're just kind of that guy. Maybe at the end of the day, and I'm not talking shit. I respect what he's saying, but you know what? Like mental illness has been around for a very long time, and maybe the people that were, like that were dabbling in Christianity and all these other things that were the prophets and whatnot, maybe they weren't mentally stable, and maybe
Right.
we're looking at somebody who would have been a prophet back in the day.
Well, and I mean, he even said he's been diagnosed with schizophrenia and all that. And he goes,
Yeah,
so you can either take it as
yeah,
that or what I'm telling you. And he's like, he understands that people think he's crazy.
yeah.
So
Right.
we're not.
Oh,
I mean, what are they gonna do? They're gonna have the Book of George? Like what? I mean,
maybe. Yeah, no, maybe, no. And it's just him putting shit together, but it's just drawing like kind of loopholes and fallacies through like everybody else's like religions. Like he's basically taken all religions, but goes all the way back to like the book, the Anunnaki. You know what I mean? Like all the way back to the Syrian times, they're talking about the gods that came down from the heavens and whatnot, and there were these 10-foot tall blue people. You know what I mean? And that fucking this isn't this, but so Inky was actually an ancient god in Sumerian times. You know what I mean? And so that's the alien that talks with him. And I'm not gonna ruin it for you guys, but I swear to God, like I shouldn't. I swear
I'm
to
gonna
like.
look. I got some time tonight. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
no, George Aquinoc. No, I'm not. Okay, I'll send you everything. But even still, I'm just telling you, like when you hear what he says, you're gonna be like, damn, all right. And then he has he has 3 visions that are happening, like inside his brain. And basically, there's a mushroom cloud in America, a dam breaks, and then war with China. Those are the 3 things that he's like. And this was back when he told me this. It was like 2008. And I'm like, okay. Well, there's a dam that just broke in Ukraine. You know, what I mean, we have the war with China on the fucking horizon, and then a mushroom cloud somewhere in America. That's about the only. I mean, so there's so many things. So we have the fucking nuclear war that's about to happen with Russia, right? We have China that's about to fucking go down, and then we also have a dam that just broke. So we have one of the fucking three
Right.
I guess prophecies that George Aquinoc is
Right.
predicting.
All right, so I'm going to backpedal us a little bit because we
Oh
could
yeah,
talk
yeah,
about him
yeah,
all night.
yeah.
But going back to the super collider and CERN, um, CERN is also dealing in working on all these different uh, physics with boson Higgs or Higgs boson, I think it is, and then there's like a Z boson, a W boson, and it's all these different experiments in physics and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And they're trying to uncover what the universe is made of and how it
Mm.
works. So they're doing all of this, and I think they're trying to find what you said, the God particle. How was the
Yeah.
universe created? I mean, Because for me,
Or
I
what's it,
start thinking about,
yeah.
you know, what was there before. If nothing was there, how could there be something if there was nothing? I mean, I go back and forth with this.
Well, it has to
Well,
be like the frequency. Yeah,
only
go ahead.
reason
Yeah,
I
go ahead,
brought
buddy.
it up is like because ever since they've started messing with it, a lot of people are hollering, "No, there's a Mandela effect," and I personally, there's been some things that I've had to go back and look at, and I was like, man, I remember it being different.
Yeah.
Just like the way that something is spelled that you like, a product or something like that, like, and I mean, I'll give you an instance, like the Fruit of the Loom logo. There used to be like a horn in it or whatever that thing is. Where the fruit were, and it's not there
Yeah.
anymore. And they're like, it was never
Huh.
there. And everybody else is like, yeah, bro, it was there. Like, I remember that
No,
thing.
I remember that
Right?
shit. No, I remember that shit for sure. Yeah, yeah. No. What?
Or like
All
double
right.
stuffed Oreos. Like, they're spelled with one F now.
All right.
Really? Man, I
Yeah,
got a
like I
bag
had
of
to
them
go buy a pack
downstairs.
of
I got
them
to check that out.
I remember
swear to you,
too. Yeah.
I had to go buy a pack. I was like, there's no damn way. And I go and look, and it's spelled STUF now.
That's
But no, there was
crazy.
2 F's. There's no. All right. I bet you.
Look, Gary, look it up. Gary, look it up.
All right. Now,
I'll look it up right now.
Yeah. I swear. But all right. Yeah. No, it's just God, man. There's so many things, but that's just like in the manipulation of our reality. You know what I mean? Like there was this one, like God, I think it was the Colorado. Remember the Colorado theater shooter? He was at the Batman premiere.
Yeah,
Well,
where the shooter came in.
yeah, well, he had freaking I forgot what he was getting. Can you look that up real quick, Gary? Can you look up his PhD and what he was talking about? He was talking about there's a manipulation in time. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like all right.
So hang on. So
Yeah.
the Fruit of the Loom logo, the
right.
horn that you're talking about is like the Thanksgiving horn
Yep.
with coming out. It actually was there. And it was
Yeah,
part of the
see.
women's thermal bottoms that had that
Oh,
logo.
weird.
And now it's disappeared.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
Even all the
Yeah.
grapes, and it's interesting, like the grape colors and stuff that are around the apple have changed over time between blue and green and purple and white. And and they tell you it's always been the same, right? All right. So hang on. We got to do the cookies, right? We got to find out about the cookies,
I'm
man.
telling you, it's missing an F.
He's right. He's absolutely right.
Yeah, it's missing an F.
It's missing an F now.
And bro, like that's my cookie. Like I've ate a million of those because I think they have cocaine in them. But if you get, I mean, Oreos just, man, you can't put them down. But I swear to you, and then I looked at somebody said something to me, and I was like, no way. And I went and looked at the package, and I was like, you got to be shitting me. So yeah, I think, and it's ever since they've started, messing with that over there, and a lot of people, it's called the Mandela effect. And I think they're blending. So universes are, the way we perceive them, isn't like they're linear, like lines stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
And they're starting to blend them together.
Yeah, or something. Yeah. You know what I've always thought about this is okay. Well, so what I've thought about this is that, like, there's kind of like the crazier life. If you live like a slow and unfast, dull life. You know what I mean? Like you can't really have that much growth. But like if you're putting yourself in danger in situations where, I mean, in other universes, other dimensions, you're dead. You know what I mean? But you still live. But the more and more like you put yourself in these crazier positions, the more like empowered and the higher that your brain function, your learning is going to be. You know what I mean? Because you're experiencing things that nobody else has. And in other dimensions, you're dead. You know what I mean? So it kind of like the more of your collective self is like kind of becoming one. They did a movie about it. They did a movie about it with Jason Statham and Jet Li. You know what I mean? The whole thing where he was going back and he was traveling the multiverse and he was killing himself and becoming one. But in all honesty, like I really do truly believe that, like, our space, because like if you shoot a laser at a crystal and that laser branches off into 9 spots. That's still the same laser. You know what I mean? It's just still the same thing. So that laser is made out of carbon, and it is presenting itself at 9 different points at the same time, even though it's the same thing. So we're made out of carbon. So we, in theory, you know what I mean, like with our vibrations and whatnot, like we just have to get the same, but we, in theory, should be able to exist in 9 different places at the same time.
Like a prism effect.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you were asking about the shooter in Colorado. What
Oh,
was
yeah,
it
yeah,
you were
yeah. Oh, no, so I was asking what it was the fact, well, what was he studying? He's called like
Oh, he had
Templar
a
time, like the Templar illusion. Like I
well,
think
he had
it's
a
called the
bachelor's
Templar.
degree in neuroscience.
I know, but no, so what he was studying is called something like the Templar illusion. Yeah, look that up, like Templar time illusion, Templar time displacement. You're gonna have to, yeah, you're gonna have to help me out. Like it's been a long time since I've but yeah, something the time illusion with that guy.
So like where was that going? Like where do you what was
Oh no,
so
what I'm saying, okay, so what I'm saying is like, so like one of the things that happens is there's multiple times where you're talking about where people will lose track of time. So what they do is they like, because time is a construct of what we create, right? And so what they do is like the government will shave off like a half a second every day, and they'll afford them like 15 minutes that they do. And when they speed the clock up, anyone who knows that this time is actually going forward and whatnot will actually have those 15 minutes where everyone's like froze. But the rest of us,
they've already said that like if that time is moving different for individuals. Like if you started a clock the day you were born and like it wouldn't read the same as somebody else's.
yeah. That's what I'm talking about. It so
Yeah.
what they do is like the GPS is like on our clocks and all our phones and everything like that. They subtract half a second a day, half a second. But then like they'll like when they really need it, they're like, okay, let's use 15 minutes of that time. And then somebody will come in, go into a secret facility, grab secrets, walk out. You know what I mean? And but everybody else, like nobody else will know that's happening. Only the person that actually knows that this like time is happening, because everybody else is still, like you said, on their clock. And they
Yeah.
really, and well, that shooter in Colorado, he was doing something like it's called like the Templar illusion. And I if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
And I'm not finding anything on that. It's all about his neuroscience. Everything that I'm looking at
Really?
is shooting right back to neuroscience. He was claiming himself to be some kind of scientist, and he was working with mice and their brains and stuff like that.
Oh, so check this out. So the person who actually fucking clued me into that was George. And the
No.
reason why, yeah. Listen. But George showed me video. No. But George, no. Listen. George showed me video of that guy doing one of his senior thesis presentations on the Templar illusion. And then now, but that's been scrubbed from the internet. You can't find that video anymore. Even though, yeah.
I mean,
so,
I'm going through everything between Wikipedia, the Denver Post.
I know, but try YouTube. Try YouTube.
So I don't know. I feel like what they're doing over there with the CERN or whatever. I feel like that they're like, I do feel like they're messing with some of the things like what I would say like Montauk was doing. Like they're trying to find ways to break into the the fabric of time and space. Like, and I don't know if that's shit we need to be messing with. You know what I mean? Like.
Well, and the main thing for Montauk, honestly, was time travel. That,
right.
Besides all the psychological stuff and everything like that, their main goal was time travel. On there in the theories, and of course, they go back to a lot of them start saying it's all conspiracy theory. That's what they were doing, right? But I mean, when you start reading about all the different things, and I hate to say it, that if you say it enough, people believes it to be the truth. But I mean, when you read different books and research and stuff like that, where they all point back to, well, they were trying to do this and this, instead of just saying it was totally time travel, but a lot of the stuff points to that was their end game. But then that brings you back to the Philadelphia experiment, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. Like, like all the people that are talking about the crackpot this, crackpot that, like, I mean, how many of those crackpot things they're talking about were true today? Like, do you know, like, Biden just reclassified the Kennedy documents and made them fucking basically they won't release them. Everybody is dead from that era. Everybody. There's not one living person from the Kennedy fucking from that era that is involved. And the Biden administration just made it so that they kept it secret. They won't release
What?
any more
What?
documents.
I think there's a lot of things like that. I mean, we can go back like Jimmy Hoffa, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I think they
yeah.
know where Jimmy is, right? But they're never going to say that.
Oh no, I think he's
You
in a
know,
I think he was like took apart in a landfill. He's put into
right?
a little
Yeah.
shredder. Yeah, I
But
don't
I
think
mean,
there's very much. Yeah,
but you know, they say the mafia was involved with the JFK assassination and stuff like that, right? And then you got to look at Ruby was, you know, you go into these all conspiracy things. Ruby was a wannabe mafia guy, right? So who
yeah,
assassinates Oswald? It's Ruby, right?
yeah,
Why
yeah.
would Ruby assassinate? And then Ruby dies just barely years later, right? Before they can
Yeah,
do anything
yeah.
with Jack Ruby, right? I mean, it's like boom, 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 boom. You know, and then you look at all the tests that were done with Oswald, you know, who was supposed to be a Marine. I don't even know if he was a true sniper in the Marines, but you know, I've been to
Yeah.
Dallas. I've seen the window, and that old kind of rifle, dude. To
Yeah,
be
it was
that
like
precise with that
three
rifle at that
rounds.
height,
Yeah, 3 rounds. Yeah, yeah.
with the trees in the way and everything like that on a moving target, God bless you. You
Man, if
know,
you've never
Yeah.
tried to shoot a moving target, it's pretty tough.
Oh no, no. Hey,
shut up.
not even that. Not like we have calculations. Like you know, what I mean, like we have calculations for our angle and whatnot. Like I remember when I went through sniper school, and you know, basically what our instructor says, like I could do this, could do this. We're gonna do a math equation. We're gonna do that, and he's gonna spin your fucking head around as fast as possible. He's like, listen, if you're aiming low, you know what I mean, like this. He's like, just aiming down, just aim a little bit, just right there. You know what I mean? Like you don't like don't do this, don't do that, but just understand that your round's gonna fucking travel up. You know what I mean? So aim a little low. You know what I mean? And if you're doing the opposite, aim a little high.
Yeah,
And it's
I
just
can't
like,
believe he
and
got 3 shots off that quick and that
yeah,
precise.
I've watched
yeah,
the Zapruder films, and everything I've seen, I believe the driver shot him.
oh, the driver of the car.
Yeah,
You think the driver took a pistol and like shot
yeah.
him?
So if you watch the Zapruder film, it's from another angle. All right, there was 2 people in the vehicle that got shot. I can't remember the other guy's name, but he got shot in the
Conley,
leg.
Yeah, but he got shot. One
Conley,
bullet went like boom, 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 and like yeah,
yeah,
like
So,
Conley, it went through his shoulder and traveled down, I believe. He's the
so if you
Texas
travel
watch the
governor.
down.
one
Yeah,
that I watched, and you see the driver turn, and you see Kennedy's head kick backwards. His head goes
yeah,
backwards, and
yeah.
Jackie goes out the back of the car.
Right.
Because she's trying to grab the brains.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's climbing out the back over the trunk. She doesn't try to go
Yeah,
over the side away from anything. She's trying to get away from somebody. Like,
yeah, okay.
if I'm standing in front of you with a gun, which way are you going to go? You're going to, you know what I mean? You're going to try to get away.
Yeah,
You're going to go backwards.
yeah.
But yeah, if you watch it where it hits and the driver, it shows the driver clear as day, and his head kicks backwards as if he was shot off the side of the head. Like
Oh,
instead of going forward, it goes straight back.
huh.
I
Oh,
mean,
okay, so
that's
because the fucking the shot from the observatory or is up
well, they
behind,
said the
right? Is what
first
you're
one came
saying?
through his throat that went into Connolly was the one
Right.
that came through,
Oh,
because that's when you
so it's
seen
come.
do that.
That's what you're saying. Yeah.
That's what they're saying that shot. But you know, I watched another man, we're all over the board tonight, but I love it.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
were saying
shit,
it
right?
too.
Yeah.
I watched a thing where they thought too that the guy riding on the back or in a car behind him with an AR actually shot him.
Weird.
Yeah, it's like it's all over the board with that stuff too. And I mean, what do you believe? You know what I mean?
Well, I
Well, I
mean, I'll put
believe
it this way. It's very weird that fucking Oswald got shot within 24 hours. You know what I
no, no,
mean?
no.
48 hours.
Oswald was a patsy, man. Like if you read all
Yeah.
about Oswald, like where he was at, where they approached him and everything else. I think he was in South America at the time.
Well, I mean,
Well,
he just got back from Russia, right? He's just
was it
gotten back
Russia?
from
For some
Russia.
reason, I thought he was in South America.
No,
No,
but
but
yeah,
he had
yeah,
a
yeah,
handler. Did you know that? He
yeah,
had a CIA
yeah, yeah,
handler.
Yeah,
yeah. And then that's another thing too. Is like, yeah, no, he has all like the hallmarks of it, and then like, I mean,
Haley.
yeah, shit, it's crazy.
Right. But when we look back at the Montauk project, and all these
Yeah, the
different
Montauk
things,
Project.
right? Yeah, but I
Yeah,
mean, when you look at the where it was talking about the time travel and all of that, I mean that, and you look back through history, there's always been a thing about traveling in time. Can we travel forward or backwards, right? And the whole thing about moving backwards in time is, could you change history? you know
hmm
and I think when you look at these
but
different things, that's part of what could be happening with all these different experiments. Can we go back in time and change and fix what we've
but
done wrong?
I don't think you can actually fix the major events. I think you can, mess up. Harry doesn't meet Sally at the at the grocery store. You know what I mean? But
Right,
when it
right.
comes down to like, Hitler gets assassinated, or Hitler gets killed, or he doesn't get assassinated during Valkyrie, or you know what I mean, or like,
Or in World War
uh,
One, if the guy just shoots
yeah,
him, right?
I mean,
Because
misses,
Hitler was
yeah,
a messenger, a runner,
yeah, yeah,
right? And the
yeah, yeah,
British
yeah.
guy caught
And
him.
that guy would have shot him. Yeah,
It would have been
that guy
that would have been it.
done.
Or
Yep.
if the gas would have killed him,
Yeah,
because
or
that's
and
why he
people don't.
wore that short
So
mustache.
for anybody, yeah, for anybody who doesn't understand what we're saying is that like there was a British soldier, and during World War One, who essentially saw a wounded man walking through the fog. He raises his rifle, looks at him. The man with a defeated look just looks at like, okay, I guess this is it. The British man, the soldier, lets him go. Turns out to be Adolf Hitler. And
Right.
if you would have just shot him, which you could have done in World War One, which is actually brutal trench warfare, we never would have had it. But
But
you know,
in another instance, he was gassed and he used to have the
mhm.
longer mustache, right? And his
Yeah.
gas mask didn't fit, and he got burned or something, but he survived it. And that's why he wore the little mustache. He shaved it all off so it would never happen to him again. I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
that's why.
Oh
If
wow.
those little instances now, but let's look at this too,
That's
right? Where we're talking about time
mhm,
travel, the experiment, all of that stuff, right? Look at some of the
mhm.
photos that people, and you can doctor photos left and right, but I'm going to say, let's look at some of the photos in history, like
Yeah.
at a Muhammad Ali boxing match, that a guy looks like he's got a cell phone
Oh yeah,
holding it
yeah,
Yeah.
like he's taking a picture with a cell phone, right? Which
yeah,
cell
yeah.
phones, I mean, my God, the only way you
Also,
get a phone in
yeah,
there is with 100-foot cord, right? You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, so I don't know. There's a lot. I think there's a lot going on with all of that
Now,
stuff.
well, this is what we all know. Like, one, that man, the curiosity to man, like, there's no way that they haven't tried to do any of these things. How successful they are on them, like, we'll never really know. I don't believe, because I feel like anybody that could hold that good a secret is probably dead.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, not nowadays, no.
um,
Well,
but there's no way that you're not going to convince me that they haven't tried, because I mean, we've pretty much tried to do everything under the sun. I mean,
Mhm,
uh, and people
mhm.
nowadays, so people are talking about people being clones. I guarantee you 100%. I remember when they cloned that damn sheep, that I was like, they will clone humans. They will clone people.
You have to. I mean, especially if you're able to get like genetic, like that movie, The Island. You know what I mean? Like, come on, there's no way that you can't tell me that like a president doesn't have like a spare liver somewhere, or if they're able to take his like stem cells and like 3D print it by now.
No, I
You know
mean,
what I mean?
I mean, it makes
Yeah,
total
yeah.
sense. I mean, if you like, when
Come on.
I mean, that was over 20 years ago. They did that with the sheep. I mean, like, dude, they got
Yeah.
full grown people somewhere.
Oh
well, I
yeah,
mean,
I
look how
guarantee
far
you. And
DNA's
somebody, yeah,
come,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Oh,
Well,
we're
I
able to,
mean,
yeah, we can genetic, yeah. They're
I
doing
mean, you
gene. Go ahead, Jay.
Geno,
Sorry.
Geno something. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, well, they went from the original building of the DNA now to like the guy that just got caught in was it Long Island or whatever for the murders, where they were able
Yeah.
to take a hair from 10 or 15 years ago and the saliva off a pizza crust and now do the DNA. What was it called?
No.
Micronial or something. I don't even know how to
Yeah.
pronounce the damn word, but they were able to do that DNA now that they couldn't have done even just 10 years ago, right? So going back to
Yeah.
you, Bobby, I mean, on that, hell yeah. I mean, if they can do that with DNA just to find out who's where, or I mean, look at ancestry.com and all of that with their DNA stuff to look back at your family tree and find, your 17th cousin from your third mom or whatever.
You know what
Yeah.
aggravates me the most about that, though, Gary? This is what I'm going to explain to you. Is they talking about time travel and going to Mars and everything else, and there's two things that they can't do here on Earth. I can't grow my hair back. That bothers me because I used to have a head full of beautiful hair. I was in a couple VO5 commercials, like a big deal. And we do not have the technology to get frosting to the edge of a Pop-Tart. Like, it doesn't exist.
Oh no. Hey, but how to make a healthy like McDonald's or like Burger King cheeseburger?
Yeah,
Why?
I mean, like I said, we got a golf cart on Mars right now, and we cannot get the
And we
frosting
cannot
to the corner
to the
of
edge
a
of the
Pop-Tart.
Pop-Tart.
Like, it's
Yeah,
not
I know,
possible.
right?
It
But
hasn't been invented yet.
Think about this though. Like they just announced that new drug for Alzheimer's disease and stuff like that, right? And you notice they always it's not a cure, it's just a deterrent, right? Same with cancer drugs and stuff like that. I think they have the cures, but if you have the cure and you get rid of cancer, then what is those big conglomerates and the politicians that are pocketing money from these pharmaceuticals and stuff, right? The power's gone. If you have the cure, the power's gone, right? You cure society of cancer.
You don't think like Steve Jobs or like there's a couple other billionaires that have gotten cancer like since then. Like, what I always think about, like, you could like use them and be like, okay, cool, like, I'll give you the cure for it, or at least like the remission. And and I'll keep you on a short leash and I'll give you the drugs every once in a while. And then but you have to help me push this. I mean, these pharmaceuticals, like that would be
put this in perspective.
Slips.
Like, just put this in perspective with like, and this always fascinated me if you just really think about it, that taking a medicine, so something we're going to ingest in our body, it's going to go through our digestive system, get in our blood, and go to a specific area to do a job. Like, that's ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, just the thought of what it has to do and getting there, I don't know. I believe that they do have the cures. There's no money to be made in cures. And, pharma has gotten so big that it's too big to fail. I believe that we're on the edge of technology now where we could pretty much have free energy, health and all, but what's to keep people working?
Yeah.
Right. Well, here's the thing for you. Back, I'm originally from New Jersey. I know you can't tell by the accent, but my great uncle back there developed a car that basically ran off of steam. And back in the day, I believe it was Ford bought the patent saying this is going to be the future of cars, bought the patent and everything from him. And it just disappeared.
Oh, my grandfather built one that ran on magnets.
Hey, Bobby, I was about to be like, Bobby, tell the magnet story, dude. Tell the magnet story.
Which one? Which one was
it?
The
one that the car that ran off magnets, and then you guys can't find the notebook.
Oh, so my grandfather, he's been gone for probably about 20 years now, man. I mean, he was really good, very creative guy. And he had a book of inventions. Like, he would make these things, and then he had a book for them. And one of the ones he had on there, he had built a motor that worked off of magnets, basically spinning. And he had figured out a way to do it, and it was basically free energy. Like, and that's how he was built. He was going to build a larger scale one. And man, since he died, we have went through everything under the sun, and nobody can find that book. Like, I don't know what the hell happened to it, but it disappeared with him.
Right. Well, I mean, look, we've talked about this before. Look at the stuff with my dad in the military. His stuff is so all over the board. I don't even know what my dad did in the military. I mean, he wore a black suit and a white tie when he was overseas all the time. You know what I mean? And every time he traveled, they gave him an honorable discharge. And when he got to the next base, you know, they re-enlisted him. And he always traveled as a civilian.
I bet he caught
military.
hell with the VA.
Well,
Shit.
I'll tell you, you know what the hard part was is when my dad passed, was they were like, they told me the funeral home was like, he didn't serve enough time to have a military funeral. I was like, my dad served 23 years, and they're like, the DD-214 you gave us said 6 months. And I'm like, what? And I had to go back down and look at it. And then I went back home and I started finding all these DD-214s throughout the years. So it's, you know, and nobody will ever tell me the truth of it. He took it to his grave. And the one guy that I know worked with him died just recently. And the only thing that Mac ever told me, which was the guy that worked with my dad, because my dad's top secret clearance was called a TOMAL. And it's one letter more than most top secret clearances. And when I did the research over 20 years ago, a TOMAL was either with the nuclear proliferation treaty, but I also found something with UFOs in it. And so I had asked Mac, my dad's funeral, about it. And Mac told me, he goes, I can never talk to you about it, Gary. He goes, but I'll tell you one thing. He says, UFOs are real, and don't ever talk to me about it again.
Hey,
just since you brought that up, Gary, you know, supposedly Montauk was supposed to have a nuclear reactor there. Yeah. Like, I did some reading, and supposedly, like, the place was supposed to be camouflaged, but they say that there's supposed to be a nuclear reactor buried there somewhere, like hidden.
I wouldn't. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it.
That's something you might be able to look up right there, but I read a little small piece of that. And like, I guess, man, there was all kinds of shit going on during this time. Like, man, they were trying to get the outer space, inner space. I mean, nuclear. They're trying to cloak everything, mind control.
They were drilling through the world's crust, trying to get to like the core. You ever hear about that one where they said they drilled like something like 62 miles or something like into the Earth's crust, and then like they sent a microphone down there, and you heard like
voices.
Wailing screams, and they're like, we just drilled into hell. You know what I mean?
So the primary topic of the Montauk Project concerns the alleged activities were centered around, let's see here, time travel, teleportation, mind control, contact with extraterrestrial life, and staging faked Apollo moon landings.
Yep.
That shit's
all right,
fake,
all right.
That damn Apollo, that fucking moon land's horse shit, dude. Because one, if you go back and look at that thing, like, that's a raggedy ass Jeep chassis. Like,
yeah, well, I think they went to the moon. I just don't think that like the Earth's rays with they wouldn't have been able to film it at the time. But I do believe that they went to the moon.
Well, just think about this, dude. Like, so if you're on the damn moon and you're wearing this damn garbage suit, you're out there jumping around and shit. Like, you're doing everything you can to make sure you don't rip a hole in it.
I think those things are pretty freaking. You know how long it takes them to make those things? It's something like 2 years. 2 years to make one of those.
If it took 10 years. If I had that damn thing on and I'm on the moon, and if a hole gets in this thing, like, I'm done.
Well, they're jumping around. It's all. I mean, it's like soft beach sand. Like, you know what I mean? It's supposed to be like that white sand shit.
Well, I know, I was in Kandahar, man. I know what the sand's like. Like, if you ever go over an area where they check for landmines, it'll have moon dust knee deep.
Yeah.
So here, let me throw this conspiracy theory out there then, okay? Right? So Apollo 11, while they were on the moon, okay, they switched to their medical
freak.
Yeah, right. For a period of, I think it was like 17 or 20 minutes or something. And they say the whole thing is that pictures that haven't been released was they landed close to where they think an alien craft was. And I know that, like, ham operator said that they heard the conversation between Neil, Buzz, and NASA, saying that they saw what they were talking about. It was just over the ridge. things
And they're
like that.
huge.
And
And they're
right,
looking at us, sir. Yeah.
right. And then, we didn't go with Apollo 18, 19, or 20, but they say those Apollo missions actually happened to try to study this extraterrestrial craft. So, I mean, I know
Well,
this
no.
is all like conspiracy stuff to
Oh,
the max.
no. Well, like that's the whole movie from the movie Transformers.
Yeah,
You know what
Dark
I
Side
mean?
of the Moon.
Yeah, Dark Side of the Moon. There you go. Yeah.
Right.
Like, yeah.
But how many times has Buzz Aldrin come out and like
No, so
public?
he's like, there's aliens, and he punched people in the face. That old
I
man
mean,
Well,
punched people in the face.
and he said that something was following the capsule. And other, who was it that, oh my, he was Gordon Cooper. Gordon Cooper swears that he saw, before his death, that he saw alien craft near his Mercury.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Cooper was a hell of a dude. I mean, while he was traveling around and taking pictures and stuff, basically spying from space, I mean, he was drawn where he was seeing shipwrecks in the Caribbean and
wow.
stuff, and he was making different notes of things. If you want to see something really interesting, and I mean, I know we're talking TV, but it's called Cooper's Treasure, and it talks about this treasure hunter's dad and him became very good friends with Gordon Cooper, and he has all Gordon Cooper's maps and stuff like that of where he was doing this in space and other notes. But Gordon Cooper, to his grave, said that there were UFOs, aliens that followed him while he was out there.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. Space scares the shit out of me.
I would never go. Caves and that shit. And getting inside a fucking submersible that's fucking made out of titanium and carbon.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you, there's two things you ain't never got to worry about Bobby doing. That's one, going to outer space, and two, that damn that cave crawling you see people do.
Spelunking.
I can't even watch it.
I'll tell you what.
No.
I got cured of caves on Iwo Jima, man. I got so spooked on Iwo in the caves, and I was trying to get out of one of the tunnels, and I went through this opening, and I almost got stuck.
Oh.
And you basically, there was a guy in front of me and a couple guys behind him, and we crawled through, and I'm on my stomach, and the cave is rubbing my back, and we pop into this opening, and the only way out is to go back through that, dude. And I had a panic attack and everything, and they forced me to go back through it. I'm glad they did. I mean, I'd have died there if I didn't leave, right? But from that moment on, and in closed spaces, oh, hell no. But
So-
again, we've talked about this, but ghosts, the paranormal, Iwo Jima, you don't believe in them, go in a cave and sit there for a few minutes and see what happens.
Well, I totally believe it. There's got to be some shit going on, like especially so through like U.S. Army Sniper School. You have to go through this one spot, and they have the unknown distance range, right? And they have this it's like little like a piece that you can get up on. It's an elevated roof, so you take a shot from it. And I mean, and so you basically are crawling up this roof, sit on top of it. Well, anyway, they have this tunnel system that goes down like through. And I mean, I'm not gonna. It feels like probably a lot longer than it really is. But what they do is they send you through as a class, right? And so if you're lucky, you're the first person. If you're not lucky, you're the fucking middle person. And you're crawling through this tunnel like this. And I'm talking like it's a fucking like, like your shoulders are rubbing against this fucking thing. And there's somebody's boots are at your nose, and somebody's fucking head is at your fucking feet. And you have to crawl through this thing. So anytime people do something wrong, go through the tube, and then there's times where they fucking like they tie you to your fucking your spotter, and then so you guys are crawling through together, tied together. So one person can't take off, and you have to sit there, and people are like, "Please go, please." That's all you hear is like in the tunnel, "Please go, please hurry, please, please move, please move."
That was me getting out of there. It was like the guy that was in front of me and the guy behind me to make sure I was going, and like he would stop, and I'm like, go. I mean, I just started panicking, and I was when it's hot anyways on Iwo in the cave, and you're sweating profusely. But I mean, I'll be honest, I almost shit myself. I was like, I can't take this.
Well, so the instructor put his foot down in front of the pipe, and he just held the fucking people there. You know what I mean? And he'd let one person out, and then he'd fucking put his foot back down in front of the pipe. And so people are just like, You know what I mean? It's good training. It's good training.
Hey,
You know what I
look,
mean? But
that's how Andy Dufresne got out of Shawshank. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
He
yeah.
crawled like a mile and a half.
Right. Thank God for
Did
Rita
you know some?
Hayward,
Did
right?
you? Hey,
Covering
did you
the
know
hole
some people? Did you know some people think that that's a real movie?
like a real instance that happened.
Oh no. There's people down there's stories like down like people in Mexico, and people like like Andy Dufresne was my ex-husband, and people
Yeah,
are just like, yeah,
say Wachanejo.
they're like that's not a real story. You know what I mean? Like it's a great
Right.
story, but it's not a real story. Like, yeah. So
Oh,
fuck.
yeah, and I was a real robber on the commercial that I did when I was holding a knife. I'm still wanted by the FBI.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly. God damn
unbelievable.
you, Gary.
Right. I'll never
Yeah.
steal another car.
I swear. I
Well,
swear.
all right. So our game plan, folks, is hopefully in a couple weeks.
All right,
we're-
no, hey,
we're-
let's plan. Hey, no, let's hold ourselves to it. We've said it before. Hold ourselves to it. We're all gonna message George
Okay.
after this and be like, "All right, let's do it." You know what I
So
mean?
let's shoot for. I'm looking at my calendar. I got a big whiteboard up in front of me right now.
All right,
So let us shoot for the 30th of July.
30th. Okay. Well then, all right. Well then we have, yeah. Let's do that. But we have to make sure, like this, like, we gotta let George know it's a no bullshit. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Let's
Dude,
shoot for that, and then
yeah, but
I've
you have
got
to
to
hear this,
talk to
Bobby.
George. I've got to talk to George about, we never got to touch on my whole sleep paralysis thing, man. I'm telling
Oh
you.
hey, no, listen, hey, if you want to, I can set a thing up so that you can talk to him, dude. And
I'm telling you, dude, if you look into that, that is some wild stuff. Like, it goes back through hundreds of years that people 500 years ago are describing the exact same things that I see now.
Well, I mean, we're all
let's
humans, though.
let's do this. Let's do this, Bobby. Can you join us next Sunday?
Oh man, I'm down whenever. I love this.
No. It's 2 weeks from now.
No.
Hang
Hang on.
Yeah.
No, Stuart. Hang on. So what I was going to suggest is next Sunday, let's get Bobby back with us, right? And let's talk about his experiences with the sleep paralysis and get into that. And then in 2 weeks, we get George on and kind of let George go into it, and we can bring that on. So we have Bobby's experiences, right? So people understand. And then we go into with George, so it kind of flows into each other on that. What do you think, Bobby?
I'm down.
Yeah, man, I'm game.
Okay,
yeah, let's do that.
Well, then it's a game plan, and hopefully people join us. Again, folks, we'll be posting this on YouTube. We'll have it on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. So take a listen. Again, email us at arethayoutthere1@gmail.com. And let us know what you think. Any stories you want us to look into. Guys, I appreciate tonight. I mean, it's been fun. It's been super interesting on that. So next week, let's do this again. And Bobby, let's get what's going on and hear your experiences and then lead into George.
Yeah, man. Do you a little bit of homework this week. Y'all take a look at it. I'm not making this shit up, man. It's wild. I'm not George, but it's wild.
Okay, well, I'm down for it.
We'll go from wild to absolutely wild. That's what
I'm
looking forward to.
Bobby, I want to tell everybody out there right now, like I swear, I promise you, if you guys do it on the 30th, your minds are going to be blown. And all of you guys, like maybe we can set something up where people, because I don't want people to think that it's scripted. I don't want people to think that we have prior knowledge of this. Like we can set something up where they can maybe message in and ask like.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'm going to throw this out there, especially, I mean, you're my co-host, but I'll do a TikTok, and we can pick one or two people to join us, right?
That'd be even
win a chance to be on the podcast, and that way they know it's not scripted. They can ask questions.
I think that's a great idea. I don't know. It needs to.
I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can record it or not, but I mean, you can go on there, live and have people like, you could do the whole thing live if people wanted to interject or talk.
Well, I just don't want it to be interrupted too much. Yeah, I guess you can
what I mean by that is like they can type it down at the bottom. They don't actually have to get on there and talk.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Right.
Well, yeah. As long as Okay.
And I'll look into that. I mean, if people know, I mean, obviously we're not using super editing material right now. We're all new at this
Yeah,
podcasting thing, but I'll take a look into it. I mean, that's a great suggestion. And if I can
Well, the
work it
thing
out
is, though,
between
yeah.
before next week, maybe what we'll do is try to do it live that way, Bobby, when you're on, and see if we can get some people tuning in. But I'll do the contest for George. We'll let George know.
Well, you know,
And
that like even still, like George is having like hundreds of thousands of views because he's
and
been like yeah, he's been like talking about like everything like that.
and
Like, yeah,
And what I'd like to do is get somebody who doesn't know George or
it
isn't
doesn't
Right
know.
following
here.
George. Right. Well, no,
Yeah,
but you're going to be one of our guests anyways. But I want people who are listening and watching these to know that they have a chance to actually join in with us that aren't following any of this. I mean, obviously they follow stories and stuff like that, but don't know you guys, don't know me, don't know George. And then that way they
mhm.
know this isn't anything that's set up. Because I know a lot of people, like when they listen to podcasts or watch them, are like, yeah, whatever, that's bullshit.
Okay.
Hey Gary, while I had you
You
on
know?
while I got you right here, I meant to ask you something. I was, the last time we spoke, we kind of were talking about Skinwalker,
Right.
the ranch. There's supposedly a place, I want to say it's in Arizona, like that's supposedly more, more wild than Skinwalker.
Well, you know what? Brandon Fugel and the Skinwalker guys have set up another team that's going around and doing some of these investigations. And they did go to the Arizona one. And I'll look into that. And the other one that's here in Utah, too, is called Blind Frog Ranch. I don't know if you
Yeah,
guys have heard of that
Blind
one.
Frog. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And that's only about 4 to 5 miles, I think it is, away from Skinwalker.
And
They're
then,
right in the same valley.
which, so also, where my mom lives in Southern Oregon, there's also a vortex there as well. And I've been to it. It's pretty
Yeah.
wild.
Where like balls roll uphill.
Yeah, balls and shit roll uphill, and then like
Yeah,
the house is completely leaning on its side, and
yeah.
you actually walk straight, and you're thinking it's some sort of wild optical illusion, but like you can bring a level and check it, like everything's just all mixed up.
And then like a brother, somebody will stand there that's like shorter and taller, but they'll look the same
You can
height.
change. So if I stood next to you and you're taller than me, I can stand on the other side of you and we can level the floor, check the level, and I'll be taller than you standing on the other side.
Yeah, but there's another place in Montana that's just like that. Hey Gary,
Yep.
I don't mean to do this
Yep.
so we don't keep running this out because
Right.
I bet we're starting to get a little boring here. But yeah, hey,
Right.
let's
do that. I'll run the TikTok for the competition, and we'll pick 2 people and have them join us, and then I'll look into the live stuff. So anybody watching out there, check out the TikTok, and it is Are They Out There on TikTok. We'll get it going. All right, guys. I'll talk to you here soon. We'll talk to you next week, and everybody just remember, are they out there?